I spent 5 years after getting a graduate degree that I went into a lot of debt to get as an actor, being very unsatisfied with the roles that I was playing. I was, bigger than a maid or the nurse with 4 lines. I saw visions of women like the women who raised me, who, were soft and vulnerable, but ran businesses, buried husbands, kept it moving, and their lip gloss was always straight. And I was like, well, those are the stories I want to see. I want to see magnificent women succeeding, stepping into their power while still being vulnerable. And the marketplace was not creating roles like that for people who looked like me. And so I could decide to accept what the marketplace was selling me, or I could decide to tell the marketplace what needs to be sold. And I had a lot of great influences. I mean, when I was in graduate school, Whoopi Goldberg was stepping on the scene, and she wasn't even trying to deal with what Hollywood thought stardom should be. She's like, I have some stories, and I'm just going to stand here on this stage with no set, and I'm going to tell you some stories about some people I know and that I dig and I find interesting. And the result was her Broadway show. Nobody who looked like Whoopi had ever been on Broadway in a show. They're just standing there talking. No set. Just a backdrop, some slides. One per monologue. And I was like, wow, the power of story. And she told the industry the story she wanted to hear. And then the industry responded by putting her in movies and going, what do you want to do? Right? Those are my early models. And then as I came into the marketplace, I started looking at people who were doing it. And with the power of the internet and people like Issa Rae deciding, I can be in my own studio. Why do I need to go to Hollywood? And just because HBO made me an offer doesn't mean I have to take that offer, because the stories I've been telling in my web series are the stories I'm interested in. And, the studio wants to take my stories and turn them into something else. And these kinds of examples really sort of fortified what I was already doing in becoming a producer and a writer. And I will tell you, I was a broke actor temping at Citibank, barely making the ends meet, subletting my apartment, running to the regions. I had no money. I had no writing skills. Every time I put pen to paper, I would start shaking and crying because I didn't think I had the right to tell my own stories or to even call myself a writer. But the most important thing that I did was know that I did know how to do this, know that I was terrified, but I also knew that a life temping for Citibank was not going to be it. I also knew auditioning for crackheads was not going to be the alternative. So step into your fear of what you know you want to see, or live in the misery that your fear is keeping you in. Those were the choices. So all I had to do was say I wanted it. I wanted to write my own stories, and I wanted to produce them. All I had to do was say it. And when I said it, people started putting themselves in my path to teach me how to do it. Right? I started workshopping a play called The Exonerated, and Jessica Blank and Eric Jensen were writing it. First-time playwrights, 2 actors. They didn't have a lot of money. They were like, I want to tell a story about people who've been wrongly convicted. And they learned how to write it as they were doing it. And I workshopped that play for 1.5 years, eating bagels. I love them. They're my best friends now, oddly enough, so I guess I like bagels. But the point of the matter was, in that process, I learned that you don't have to be a writer to write. You just have to have a story that you want to see told, and have the courage to learn how to do what needs to be done to tell it. And in that developmental process, as I got to know Jessica and Eric, I turned to Jessica and I was like, I really want to write a story, but I don't know how to write. And she's like, I didn't know how to write either when I started writing, so let's do it together. That experience taught me chutzpah. It taught me that just because you don't know how to do something doesn't mean that it's not something you're not supposed to be doing it, right? You have to own the thing that you're afraid of, because the thing that you're afraid of is the path to glory. Right? Success is about soaring, right? You can't soar unless you take a leap of faith. And my leap of faith was just to say, I want to do it. Not to have any idea how I was going to get there. And just by stating that I wanted to do it, people showed up. I want to be in independent film, and I want to make some movies, and my friend Ron Simons was starting a production company. An actor who was tired of playing roles that he wasn't interested in, or seeing films and stories he wasn't interested in. He'd never produced before. I'd never produced before. We just said, wow, we want to make a story, and this great script has come our way by this young black filmmaker director who has not been able to get it made because it's a love story about a Black Panther, an ex-Black Panther, and a civil rights attorney. And Kerry Washington and Anthony Mackie want to do it, but we can't get any money. Well, what did Ron and I know about producing? Nothing at all. We just knew, oh my God, this story's amazing. We have to find a way to make it. And that is why I've decided to teach this writer's retreat. Because the lesson that I learned was, if you say it, even though you're afraid of it, opportunities will present themselves and people will present themselves to help you get there and teach you as you go. And everything that I've done in my artistic career, it was the first time. Even when I went to acting school, I never acted in undergrad. I was just like, oh, I've graduated, I think I want to be an actor. People presented opportunities. A friend who I said, I think I want to be an actor, but I don't feel like I should be because I'm a ghetto girl done good and I need to go be a lawyer or something. And my friend was like, no, you're going to go do this theater job for a year. The lesson that if you don't remember anything else that I tell you today is just because you don't know how to get to something doesn't mean it's not for you. What that actually means is that you need to state very loudly what it is that you want to see, what it is that you want to happen, what kind of work you want to do, what will make you happy, and the rest will present itself. Right? I one day stood up and said, I'm tired of dating inappropriate people who hurt me and who are self-destructive. I don't want to do that anymore. Don't know exactly what I want, but I know I don't want that. And in the moment in which I said that, amazing people started presenting themselves in my life. You have to state what it is that you want, and someone will help you get there. So that's the most important lesson, because that transformation of stating it and then people showing up for you changes you inside. It says, my fear is giving me the key to success. And so the very things that happened to me, my stating it and people putting themselves in my path and teaching me how to make movies and teaching me how to write plays. So now that we have cleared up, what cannot be in the way is that you're going to state what you want. And this writer's retreat, I'm going to give you the permission to say it, and then I'm going to show you how to get there. And I did it with no money and no know-how, and everybody I ever coached had never written or produced either. So let's just move that out of the way. And let's talk about what's going to happen and why this class is special. Because for the first time, you're going to actually have somebody who made all the mistakes, who is actually teaching you what they have done. I have written, produced, coached, raised money for my projects. For my Good Bread Alley campaign, I raised $100,000 in 30 days. I'd never run a Kickstarter before. I did it by asking people and saying, this is what I wanted, and it fell into my path. Well, I've been taking notes. Everything I've done, from writing a solo show and getting it produced off Broadway, to producing a Tony Award-winning Broadway show, Porgy and Bess, I'd never produced before. I learned on the job in about 72 hours by asking people, how does this work? What should I be looking for? How do I raise the money? This writer's retreat is not only about what kind of writing you want to do, and how to learn that technique of producible work, right? Whether it's a play or a screenplay. What kind of work actually gets produced, and what does production ready mean, right? How do you get into developmental labs? Is that important? How do you make the connections with producers for them to even get them to look at your work, right? Well, the work has to look a certain way in order to get that attention. You have to have the right kind of team in order to get that attention. So I will talk about structurally what makes work production ready and help you start putting some things down for those first 10 pages, which are the killer parts of any script. What are you going to write about? And then what is the format, right, that makes it producible? That's what we'll spend the first day on, writing. And the strategic kind of writing, the kind of writing that gets produced, right? And I know that because I've submitted lots of stuff that hasn't gotten produced, right? On the average, it takes a writer 44 rejections just to get one yes. Well, you're going to benefit from not 44, 150 rejections on one play, my first solo play. 150 rejections. It was extraordinary. You're going to benefit from what I learned from that process, right? And day 2, which is really what makes this unusual than any other writer's retreat, is not only are we going to talk about writing and do writing and talk about form and structure in the first 15 pages and beginning with the action, which is how you grip your reader in the first 10 pages. But day 2, we'll talk about real business strategies to get produced. And then I will start talking to you like a producer, like somebody who has to raise money to get films into Sundance. Right? Like somebody who has to find editors who work for a little bit of money, or somebody who has to find a line producer that will help us shoot a $3 million film in 18 days, right? None of our films have been shot. None of the films that I've worked on as a producer have been shot in more than 30 days. Anywhere from 18 to 30 days, right? Gotta raise the money, gotta shoot it. There's a way to do that. I've learned. There's no sense in you reinventing the wheel. These are the kinds of things that we'll deal with in the second part of day 2, is how do you get it produced, or how do you produce it yourself? How do you raise money? How do you target it in the marketplace? How do you find an audience? How do you get people interested in giving you money? How do you set up a nonprofit? How do you set up a production company? Which one are you going to do, right? All these things. How do you self-produce initially in order to get other producers interested? So for the first time, you're going to get somebody who's an artist that makes work, but also a business person who then produces work, who gets it produced and puts it on its feet, right? So I look at this as the new triple threat, right? The actor, writer, producer, or the artist entrepreneur, which with the advent of the internet, you now actually have the power. If you're not making your own work, then you're missing out on free opportunities to get discovered, like Lena Dunham, who made a film for $60,000 and then got a TV show offer and is now making Girls on HBO. She'd never done it before. There's lots of people out here getting discovered because they're doing it all. They're having the dream of what kind of roles they want to act in, then they're writing it and they're figuring out how to do the business. And that's what this writer's retreat is about. It's going to be $299. That's it. $299, 16 hours of class. You'll leave with a workbook. You will get a free membership to the private writer's room, which is a private Facebook group that you actually have to be a writer to be a part of. And published and produced writers are members of that group. You will get one-to-one attention because the class will not exceed 15 to 18 people. And in 16 hours, people will be breaking out into smaller groups and working on assignments and then coming back and checking with me. It's going to be an amazing day. We are in an amazing space. We have a home in Manhattan that we're going to be working out of. And if you do not live in Manhattan, you can dial in or you can do Skype, which works perfectly because most of the interaction that individual writers will have will be just with me. And then the group will come back in for, sections where I lecture and talk about an exercise, then we break out. We work in those smaller groups. We come back and we do questions. People share if they like. So, and then you get assignments beforehand from me to prepare, and then you'll send that stuff to me, so that I'll be able to give you feedback on the first day, right, before you even start it. Individualized, personalized feedback. And one of the people listening today is going to get a private coaching session with me where I'm going to work them through every section of the class one-to-one. So this is your opportunity to get a download of 5 years of information that it took me to figure out in 16 hours, right? And like the coaching clients that you see on my page, when you're on the sales page here, you look to the slideshow below, there are examples of people that I have coached, that I am coaching. Those folks coached with me. They took my writer's retreat 2 years ago. They've coached with me anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. You are getting in 1 weekend for $299 what they paid a minimum of $4,000 to get from me in private coaching. This is a one-time deal. I won't be offering it again this year. I won't be offering it in this format ever again, and I'll never be offering it for this price ever again. You will have to do private coaching. So this is a one-time shot. It's my giving back, and it's wanting to share what I had to struggle with, making that easy for you. Because in the long run, then you become a producer that down the road we make a movie together and you already know what to do, right? So there is some self-interest involved. And also, I just think this is an exciting time to be an artist. So this is what the class is about. If money is an issue, you can pay it off in 2 installment payments of $149 each. But you gotta register soon, so you got enough weeks in between to raise your money, right? So think of that $299 as saving you, I don't know, $3,700. If you look at it that way, it's golden. And my hourly coaching rate is $250 an hour. So you're getting 16 hours for $299. You do the math. The only thing that's stopping you at this point is fear. And fear means that you're heading in the right direction. You don't have to have it figured out. You don't have to have a production ready script. All you have to do is say, I want to make my own work, and I will get you there. All right? So if you have questions, you can comment in the blog section down at the bottom, or you can email us at AprilYvetteThompson, AprilYvetteThompson, coaching@gmail.com. Or you can go to my FB page, Facebook page. It's called Coaching with April Yvette Thompson. Leave me a question on the page. You can go to Twitter, April Y. Thompson. Tweet me a question. I promise to respond. I'm so excited about this class. Let's do this. Be happy, be joyful, and be a dream builder for yourself. Bye-bye.